the executive producer, George Andriopoulos, he is a lifelong Daler. He also graduated from Farmingdale High School in 1997. He was also inducted as a Wall of Famer here at this high school in 2018. He is the CEO of Launchpad 516. It's a Farmingdale-based management consulting firm, and he is a keynote speaker and has presented at 2 TEDx and 1 TEDx talk, which is now featured on TED.com. His 2 children go to school in this very district, and I swear if you cut this guy, he will bleed green and white. Oh, yeah. He was also licensed by TED earlier this year as an organizer and brought Farmingdale its first ever TEDx. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to introduce George Andriopoulos.
Truth. What the hell is the truth? I'll tell you what truth is. Truth is 26 speakers backstage who are anxiously awaiting to come out here and tell you their truths. 2019 is a confusing time. There's a lot of dissent in the world, a lot of people arguing. And I think I have a theory about that, and it lies in the phrasing that I just used in my previous sentence, their truths, right? Because each of us has our truth. But if I have my truth and you don't agree with it, you look at it as a falsity. And I don't think that's a healthy way of operating. And so it is necessary for people to stand up and say, I'll do it. I will go up there and I will share my truths. And I will help people understand what I believe to be is the truth. And if that truth is pure, then it's no longer just a truth, it's an idea. And it's an idea worth spreading. And that's what this is all about. So I want to give you a little bit of insight. In order to share your truth and do it in the right way, you have to have the opportunity to stand on a stage like this. And these red letters behind me, they're all about truth. For those of you that have watched TED Talks and TEDx Talks, you understand the importance of these talks in education, in the world. And so I set out during my public speaking journey to go out there and tell my truth. And you have to start small, right? When you're a public speaker, it's almost like you're a musician that's gigging at dive bars. If I want a keynote in front of 8,000 people, I need to speak at a free seminar in a library in front of 8 people. And those 8 people are going to tell 10 people, and they'll tell 10 people, and suddenly you get the opportunity to stand on a stage like this. And because you stand on a stage like this and have that opportunity, you have to understand that to us, to public speakers, this stage is sacred. There is nothing more sacred than the opportunity to stand here. And it's more than an opportunity at that point. It becomes a responsibility. It becomes a responsibility to understand that the truth that you're telling has a lot of gravity, because an audience will gather when you step on a stage. And that audience might just be interested in what you have to say. That audience might be hungry to hear about somebody else's truth. And that audience might be desperately seeking advice from an experienced person that may have gone through something that they're going through. And so that responsibility is so important. And so when I set out on my public speaking journey, I had to set my goals, right? And those of you in this audience that know me, and there are quite a few, you know that when I get a goal in my mind, I become obsessed, and I do not stop. And so in order to achieve a goal, you have to set your starting point, and you have to set your Mount Everest. And my starting point was that free seminar in front of 8 people. And my Everest was TED. And TED is the Everest for a lot of public speakers. And there's a reason for that. There's a lot of reasons for that, actually. But I'll tell you one thing that's not a reason that it's the Everest for people who are in public speaking. It's not because of money. Because you can go out there and keynote at a conference and get paid $25,000, and you could sell your product, and that's great. And I applaud people that do that. But the people that step on this stage, on the TED stage and the TEDx stage, they do not get paid. It is not about money. It is about their idea. And so when we curated this event, we wanted to make sure that we had speakers that cared about their message, that were here not to further their careers, but were here to disseminate a message that was their truth and inevitably an idea worth spreading. And so that Everest, for us, that TED Everest, I think the main reason that it's the pinnacle for us as public speakers is because TED is the truth. And truth is so important today. It's a big theme. Because TED Talks, to me, are the most pure kind of talk. TED Talks have guidelines. Guidelines that say there could be no selling or advertising from the stage, no religious proselytizing, no politics, and no pseudoscience. And to me, that makes these talks pure. And so I set that Everest, and I was so happy when I did my first TEDx and my second TEDx. But I was left wanting a little bit more. And so I experienced an event recently, and I have to give a shout out to somebody in the crowd. I experienced an event recently which was going to be my third TEDx event, and subsequently actually moved to a private event called Speakers Who Dare. And this executive producer, Trisha Brook, who's in the crowd with us, showed us, the 20 speakers at Speakers Who Dare, that this message was so important and made us rise to a level that just really completely changed all of us. And in fact, there's some Speaker Who Dare alums here today speaking, including our wonderful host, Marla Schultz. And so I decided that I wanted to become a TEDx organizer because of this event. And when I was approved for it, the first question that they ask you is, what's the event name? Where's it going to be? And again, those who know me, this is no question. I bleed green and white. It was always going to be Farmingdale, right in this building. Never a question, because I know how special this place is. And I know that those 26 speakers backstage, a lot from Farmingdale, a lot from across the country, are going to be proud to stand on this stage and themselves become Dalers. Through initiation, of course. Although they didn't get to ride the lion in the Commons like some of us did. And so I decided that the event would be here, and I formed my curation team, which is a wonderful team that we'll talk about in the closing remarks. And we're here today. And I cannot believe that I'm finally saying this, but ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TEDxFarmingdale. I want to tell you all that I want two things today. I want this to be thought-provoking for you. I want you to open your minds to these truths that these speakers share. And I want you to understand that their truth may not be your truth, but it's just as important. And so if we have that understanding, and we have that acceptance of each other, and we go out there and we share these truths, something special is going to happen. So I'm going to close with something that one of my favorite speakers said, and I have it right on a pin here that was given to me by our wonderful superintendent, Paul Defendini. Jimmy Valvano, at his famous ESPY speech a few months before he passed away of cancer, gave his famous speech where he talked about the most important thing in life, which is to experience your days fully. And in order to do that, you need to laugh. You need to think. You need to be moved to thought every day, and you need to shed some tears and cry. And so I think that during this event, we will laugh, we will cry, and we will definitely think. So welcome again to TEDxFarmingdale. Without further ado, I'm going to bring out Marla again, our wonderful host. Thank you all for being here.